Traders, how are you? Marcello here, founder of the Day Trading Academy. Today we're doing the recap of what happened in the markets last week from the amazing pool here in Singapore. We got invited to speak at the Traders Fair, which is the largest traders fair for traders in all of Asia. So I'll see you guys in Singapore this weekend. Actually, it's today. Today's Saturday. And then we're going to head over to Philippines to check out the construction of the center there. And also we see all of our traders. We have an event this weekend, so I wanted to come and be part of you guys to be able to go ahead and hopefully get you guys to trade more realistic markets that don't have as much fraud and things like that, like Forex. Overall this week, U.S. firms recorded the best first half in a decade. Profits rose 11%, but there's a slowdown in the global economy with ongoing trade tensions, so that might affect the earnings in the second half of the year. The U.S. indices are higher for the week. Generally, the Dow is up 0.70%. S&P 500 is up 1.24%. The NASDAQ is up 1.89%. In overseas market news, the European markets are generally higher as well. The biggest winner, if you consider Russia, European, it went up 4.36%. The FTSE in London was the second biggest winner, 2.42%. In Latin American markets, the biggest winner was the Merval in Argentina. They actually have elections tomorrow, Sunday. The expectation is that the Peronist Alberto Fernandez is going to win the election, which is going against what people consider to be the market-friendly Macri. The Merval went up 7.99%. The biggest loser was the index in Santiago, went down by 5.02%. They had a lot of violent protests. The president unfortunately tried to change a few things, and things mounted on top of each other. They set fire to buildings, they set fire to metro stations. The president had to declare a state of emergency, and that eventually affected significantly the market. I'll let you know they had the worst drop in the market in years. They had the peso, the Chilean peso, went down by a record in years as well. So that definitely affected quite a bit. African and Middle Eastern markets, mostly mixed. Saudi Arabia was the biggest winner at 3.63%. The other losers were generally very small. And in Asia and Australian markets, Singapore was the biggest winner here, 2.31%. The Philippines went up just 0.48%. And Thailand, which is the biggest loser, at negative 2.39%. In Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency news, Bitcoin on September 24th went down from 9,500 to 7,800. Bitcoin was down 27% from a month ago at 7,469. On 8 separate occasions, Bitcoin went down by 10%. On Wednesday was the 9th time that it did so. So on a short-term technical basis, the expectation is that it's going to go down, and now it's starting to be the same expectation for the longer term as well. So we'll see what happens with Bitcoin overall. And overall for the week, it went up 9.47% to about 8,703, give or take. And Friday, it spiked 13% in just 10 minutes. In financial and banking news, Latin American currency slipped on Monday. The Chilean peso, I told you guys, went down 2%, which is the biggest one-day drop in over 6 years. Stocks sank by 3%, which was the worst trading day, I should say, in the last 2 years. And I'll let you know about the Argentine markets as well. In commodities, crude went up 5.51% to 56.66. International Brent went up 4.69% to 62.02. And the U.S. rig oil count plunged to its lowest record since 2017. Silver futures went up over 2% at $18 an ounce. I was able to close a few positions. If you guys were following some of those videos I did about the positions I had in silver, you guys can follow me on Instagram if you want. It's Marcello Arrambide English. I post a lot of those. I believe I did about 1,600 in profit or so. Remember, we always talk about these things for educational purposes only. We're not trading advisors. We don't trade people's money. So make sure that you guys do your own research, as your accounts obviously are your responsibility. Palladium also hit a new all-time high at 1,791. Gold went up 0.94 for the week at 1,505. And silver was up 3.25% at 1810. In political news, Brexit again is delayed after Parliament agreed to an exit in principle but rejected the Prime Minister Johnson's extremely short timetable for ratifying the bill. Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau won the re-election even though of all the scandals that he had. He is now reduced to a minority government, which most likely means that the next elections, there's going to be a change in party for the presidents for you guys in Canada. In Tunisia, they had a change in president as well. The new president is named Kais Saied. He's a political outsider and retired law professor. Reason why he won is because obviously the government there wasn't running things the way that people think it should be run. And Colombians also on Sunday, when this recap comes out, is voting for regional legislators, mayors, and governors that may influence the 2022 political or presidential election. In corporate news, SoftBank bails out WeWork in a $5 billion deal. They're offering to buy up to $3 billion worth of stock for current investors and shareholders. They also gave a payout to Adam Newman, which is the disgraced founders. They gave him a severance of $1.7 billion. I wouldn't mind taking that deal if I founded a company that they wanted to kick me out. And they also accelerated a $1.5 billion equity investment that gives them almost complete power or ownership over the Office startup. Tesla gave a surprise profit of $342 million in Q3. There was an expectation of almost $260 million at loss, but they actually came out with a profit. Tesla has had profits only twice since it went public in 2010, once in 2013 and 2016. In technology, Blue Origin firm is partnering with industry giants to be able to take people to the moon again. They're working actually with NASA to be able to go ahead and do that. Honda, the Japanese automaker, is going to start selling only electric and hybrid vehicles in Europe starting in 2022. 3 years than they planned previously due to the regulations that are favorable to those kind of markets there in Europe. Other than that, the number of startup firms in India that are using smartphones and the internet to help farmers grow, harvest, and sell their crops more efficiently is growing quite a bit in India as well. India doesn't necessarily have to import food; they're largely self-sufficient. But the problem is that they have problems to feed 1.3 million people. Other than that, Rio Tinto Group, which is focusing on improving quality and lifting volumes, is now starting a pilot program to increase volumes and production of lithium in California. Obviously, this is due to the fact that electric cars are starting to gain steam around the world. And in international events, the U.S. is strengthening its military presence in Syria to prevent the Islamic State fighters taking control over the oil fields. Japanese Emperor Naruhito, I'm sure that's how you say it in Japanese. He proclaimed ascendancy to the throne on Tuesday, the first Japanese monarch to abdicate in 2 centuries due to his age. It's the oldest continuous monarch globally. The dynasty can be traced back to the 600s in Japan. And the Hong Kong legislature formally withdrew its legislation that would allow anybody to be able to be taken from Hong Kong to the mainland in China on an extradition request. People are still saying that it's unlikely to stop the actual unrest there in Hong Kong, since that's one of the 5 demands that the protesters wanted. And the exodus out of Venezuela is reaching about 5,000 people a day, on track to reach 5 million. The pressure obviously is growing against the government of Venezuela due to the fact that a lot of the countries all around Venezuela are having problems keeping up with this demand. And hopefully things will change there, because unfortunately things are not very good there. And unusual facts, for the first time, there are more rich Chinese than Americans in the top 10%. You need to have, in order to make the threshold in the top 10%, it's roughly 109,400 in net assets. To be in the top 1%, you need just above 936,400 in assets. Values of Norway's sovereign wealth fund, the world's largest, reached $1.09 trillion. Car parking spot in Hong Kong sold for the most on record, $936,400. And also, Jeff Bezos is no longer the richest man in the world, unfortunately, right? He's only worth $103.9 billion, and Microsoft Bill Gates is worth now $105.7 billion. That's the news for this week, guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions. We're going to enjoy the day here in Singapore. This beautiful, beautiful pool, which I recommend you guys come and visit. See you next week. Bye.